Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for game number 4. It is an LGD bloodbath today. The international boys having their first real test in this tournament in the GEST Dota 2 Challenge, facing off against their counterparts from China, LGD China. How appropriate. It is a best out of 5 LGD International Warrior winner brackets champions for this event. Of course, brought to you by Dota Talk, and presented to you by Beyond the Summit. I'm LD. I'm joined here today by Luminous, and we are in a series that currently LGD China is trailing 1-2.
And we have a Luna being picked up. What is the record so far? 6-0? 7-0?
I think it's 7-0 in officials. Only in official matches, of course. But
well, that's when it counts.
That's a pretty big record, man. And also, you know, it's interesting as we. Obviously, the key ban to note here, Magnus is banned. We're not going to see him again. Also, I like the respect towards Brax's Darkseer because, and just the hero in general, because it's so annoying to play against. And even when Brax has had tough games, it comes at a big cost. It's just such an opportunity cost to kill off that Darkseer. But they pick into Undying, and Luna, to some extent, does counter that Tombstone with the glaives, with all the damage. So how are you feeling about this draft as it unfolds?
Again, we saw this kind of similar drafting with a Luna and an Undying matchup between LGD International and MUFC. VODs are eventually available. You guys should check those out. Very good games. Is that really, if you dodge the Undying, what is he really going to do? He's not exactly the best tower pusher. And if he's in the trial lane, he's not really going to accelerate into a quick level 11 or anything like that. Meanwhile, you get your farm up, you get your item up, and you get your Eclipse. So once the fight happened, like you said, Lunar Blessing plus Team's right click are more than enough to really pick up that Undying Tombstone. So you got really, if you're LGD China, you got to build around that Tombstone. Having a lot of stuns from Leshrac and Sven is a great way to go about it. Having a little bit more crowd control, you know, whether it's a Puck Dream Coil, whether some decent AoE silence to really shut down the enemy lineup, that's a good way to go about it as well. And we're going to see Shadow Demon being picked up. Shadow Demon is a hero that we don't see many other teams use, at least not to the same effectiveness that 1437 does. I mean, it's just a great hero to go both offensively and defensively.
And with these picks, we could see them still pick into that Misery jungle hero, whether it's the Enchantress or the Chen. And I love the idea of the Chen in this game because, sure, you're up against some strong laning heroes, but come mid-game, you have the Glaives, you have the Aura from Luna, you've got just all the damage on the creeps, the early mech, and you just have such an ability to push. You've got Shadow Demon and Night Stalker to set up your kills. I love this Shadow Demon pick as well because they can do that double, you know, roaming strategy. It doesn't have to be, they can farm more early on if it's a Chen, or they can be more aggressive if it's an Enchantress. I really think the Chen's the better choice, but you now see the junglers being banned out, Enchantress already off the table. If you're going to ban Enchantress, you pretty much have to ban Chen in my book, because Chen is the scarier hero to deal with. Also, giving you that armor from the mech, which he normally gets very quickly, means Sven doesn't hit as hard. So for all these reasons, I think LGD China doing the smart thing, taking the junglers off the board.
At least for now. We do have one more ban to go through. I like the ban here against the Lone Druid. Lone Druid is definitely a very powerful combination, especially if you have to spend Warcry. Suddenly that bears also 16 armor, plus 16 armor. That's just mind-boggling when you think about it. In combination with Leshrac, that makes an insane pushing lineup. And just a lot of front line meat, you know, to tank for your Tombstone. But it's going to be a Rubik ban up here, so Chen is available. But well, I don't know. I feel like Chen, as powerful as a hero is, he really comes in late. When you're getting dove upon, your Chen is not really going to do too much because he's fiddling with creeps in the jungle. So it's maybe you just want to hero in lane.
One thing that they have done, they've showed a great propensity to do, is kind of just dodge the enemy tri-lanes. That obviously, if you pick the Chen, you're going to be weak against an offensive tri-lane from these three heroes or whatever three LGD. If they, the China squad, if they want to use one, they can. But the international squad, did we see it 2 times versus MUFC? They just, I think it was games 1 and 3, where rather than try and fight against the enemy tri-lane head-on, they just punish the other solos. They go offensive jungle if it's an offensive tri-lane, or they just play defensively if it's a defensive tri-lane, and they basically dodge the bullet. So I agree with you, he does get started late, but if anyone can get away with it, I think it's the international squad, just because of how good 1437 and Misery are at just finding the right place to attack, the right place to farm.
Here's the one thing that you do have to be careful about if you are cheering for the international squad. Dodging the tri-lane is a very good way to kind of handle the Undying situation, but there is a Leshrac on that particular tri-lane, and Edict is going to knock down tower. There is a very heavy price to pay to dodge that tri-lane. Nyx Assassin is going to get banned out here, whereas I think in the MUFC lineup, they had like Rubik, Undying, You know, there was no pusher in those tri lane, and so you can actually dodge it and not really face any consequences. In this situation, it's really a different situation. Faces Void here, both as a kind of a picking up the hero that really counterpicks Sven and kind of just a good AoE pickup. But again, I think Shadow Demon is a really good hero against Faceless Void. Like, you know, you jump on somebody, disrupt Faceless Void, disrupt your allies, and suddenly Faceless Void is in an awkward position.
And even the Demonic Purge is so good against any melee carry. I'm completely with you on that one. I'm thinking about the lanes right now. Something we seen the Chinese squad do earlier today is run a dual lane mid, Sven plus Leshrac versus Night Stalker. You can look to win that lane. You could have an off lane Undying, and then you're at Faceless Void bottom, who could frankly solo versus the clock. And I think if they go with those lanes, they can be greedy. They could even go for the jungler of their own if that's what they want. Sure, I mean, Undying may be going to be a little bit useless in the off lane, but if you have a dual lane that's shutting down Night Stalker and your Void's getting free farm and you have that early jungler, or if it's a support, whatever the case is, I think that would be a really smart way to run these lanes. And it's also going to be a situation where obviously mind games factor into this. Both teams, they've played a lot against each other. They have to know how the opponents normally like to play, and we'll have to see if they, you know, try to trick them by doing something different or try to trick them by doing the same thing.
Right, and here we go. We're gonna see a Jakiro being picked up. Of course, a great combination in the Chronosphere. Macropyre's no joke, and this actually makes me think that like Shrek might get a little bit of solo mid action, or maybe we're gonna see that Jakiro solo mid that we
from MUFC. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, he will beat Night Stalker with ease, I have to say.
I don't know. I mean, with the 5 armor and bottle crowing, I wouldn't say with ease, but he should be able to win the lane by a margin. How big that margin is, I'm not so sure.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of options here for LGD in terms of laning. Perhaps going to do a little bit more traditional dual, 2-1-2. Although, again, when in down, you are so tempted to get that tri lane. It's going to be a Lina inverse. This is something that we haven't seen too often. This lane kills very well. And, of course, I'm talking about Shadow Demon Disruption into LSA, into Loosen Beams, and everything else.
It looks like it's going to be a clockwork tri lane. This is what I think you were testing that game with me. We saw it yesterday anyway. Maybe it wasn't with you, but it was a tri-lane with a clockwork, and I actually talked to Brax because I thought they were trying to dodge the enemy tri-lane. They ran it offensively. They were not. He said they wanted the matchup. They feel it's very strong, and if you think about the tri-lane, it really has that potential. Disruption to set up the cogs, to set up the Light Strike Array, and then you've got 2 600 range heroes who can just pluck away at whoever's trapped inside the cogs, so it's a pretty strong kill lane. They also get some burst damage, and that's really what you want against, well, quite a few of LGD's heroes who do, if they're left alive for any amount of time, you get multiple ice paths off, you get that full duration edict if he goes for it, or multiple splitters. Just a lot of heroes that you need to kill and kill them quickly. So we may see an offensive tri-lane from LGD, which will leave Pycat 1v1, potentially against, I guess, the Undying, if that's one of their solos. It's so hard to predict these lanes, though, so it's all just theory crafty at this point until we see how the teams want to play it.
Sylar, no THD, that's exactly the surprise thought that is going in my mind as well. Pycat singling that one out. Sylar, unfortunately, is going to be playing on the Faceless Void instead. DDC is going to be handling the Shrek, Yao playing the Undying, Xiao A on the Sven, and last but not least, SC playing the support Jakiro.
On the other side, I'm just laughing about that Sylar no THD, but that's cute. It's good to see these teams really having that, friendly rivalry. From what I understand, they kind of share a social life. They have these fun little bets for, well, Coca-Cola, maybe not the healthiest thing to be wagering, but hey, it's all in good fun. On the international side, we've got Pycat. Famous for his play with CLG and even before that, just as a carry player in general. The first player to get a first blood at the international one, or a rampage, I believe, in Dota 1. Or in Dota 2, actually. 1437 on that Shadow Demon. Brax on the Clockwork. Misery on the Lina. And who is our last player that I'm forgetting? G is going to be playing...
Night Stalker.
Night Stalker. There you go. Thanks for the save.
Although, remember yesterday we saw Pycat going mid with Luna?
Yeah, that's something...
We might see something like that, because who is actually going to... Which hero on LG squad is actually going to beat Luna in the mid lane here?
Twin-Headed Dragon couldn't do it yesterday. MUFC tried that. We actually saw that matchup. It was the Ohio Twin-Headed Dragon mid.
Right. And Ohio got,
he got destroyed. And I didn't even think it was his fault. It was just really great play from Pycat. And it makes him a lot harder to gank, so that's something. But with Xiao 8 playing the Sven, I really think it's going to be a dual lane mid. And that's something Ludic obviously can't lane against, because the last time they played the Sven earlier today, They ran it dual lane mid. They ran it with the Sven, I think it was Sven Leshrac combo, although Twin-Headed Dragon could work. And that's just a crushy mid lane. Of course, you get all the traditional benefits of your dual lane mid. You can control the runes easily, in addition to shutting down that enemy hero. Sven can be left to farm while Leshrac fills up his bottle. So it works on a couple levels, and then Xiaowei in the mid game just really creates a lot of space. He even rushed a Blink Dagger that game, so I think that's what we might see out of the Chinese squad.
Well, Pycat is going on the top lane, at least for now. A very standard laning here, and as you said, it is going to be offensive trialing here. This is as greedy as a bottle rush I've ever seen here from G. You know, if you think about it, why don't you just get a bottle at level 1, and then just get the 3G branches? But you know, hey,
well,
I know it's the same thing, really, actually.
Well, I mean, if you get into trouble and you need an early salve, obviously this is gonna be better. Or if you're up against a really bad lane, maybe you want to rush the boots. So I'm fine with this build, but.
Right. Here we go. Both teams are kind of just making sure they're dropping wards and making sure no wards is dropped on them. One thing I do have noticed from, I guess, the more Southern East Asian teams is that there's a greater emphasis on ancient stacking, ancient pulling, and then your carry coming in later and just cleaning everything up. We haven't seen any of that here today.
It's funny that you bring that up because I was casting with Eternal Envy earlier, and one of the things he kept on harping upon was that he felt the supports weren't stacking enough.
Exactly. It's free gold.
Oh, okay. I think you meant to say, okay, I get what you're trying to say. So they're not stacking as much as what you expect them to, basically.
Yes, and the emphasis is never there, to be honest. But, I mean, both these teams have been playing so aggressive. You know, they're trying to kill each other, they're buying back, they're tower diving and all that stuff. So maybe time is used a little bit more efficiently in other places. So, it's all good.
I just want to point out, Pycat took a ton of damage already from Yao. 1 decay and I think 2 or 3 auto attacks. He lost quite a chunk of HP. They see the Night Stalker mid. Oh, here comes the potential initial engagement. Everybody dodging spells. The dewarding, or at least a bit of rune control will be present. They're running the offensive tri-lane, but they're doing it against a Void with a poor man's shield. Can be very difficult to kill off. Also, he can time walk out of those cogs mid lane. They go into G immediately. I don't know that this will be a first blood. It won't quite, but that greedy bottle build, bottle rush, it doesn't really work that well against dual lane mid. He has the bottle, but what he really needs is a lot of HP regen, a little extra mana. He can try and farm some creeps, but I see some salve fairies in his future.
Yep. Void farm is not Void as in using the spell to farm. It's not exactly the best way to go about it. Meanwhile, Void farm on the bot lane is a very good way, but it looks like they're going to go right on Jakiro. Jakiro going to get surrounded. That is as big as a surround I've ever seen here in SC.
This is that offensive tri-lane clockwork. It's the combo that Brax was talking about.
Well, Silas really going for the kill here as he's really bashing away here against Brax. Brax, of course, hiding a stout shield and decent armor early on. It's going to be fine. I wonder if we're going to see Phases War prioritize a little bit more here on backtrack. Normally, you want to get the time lock, considering that you do a lot more damage in your Chronosphere, but against a tri-lane with 2 range heroes, maybe the backtrack's what you want.
I mean, honestly, Sylar just wants to get to the mid game. He doesn't want to be in this he doesn't want to have to deal with this tri-lane forever. He wants to try and dodge as much as possible. As we look towards our other lanes, while we do have a moment, well, a huge arrow drawn by Misery. Not sure what that's about. But Yao, on that off lane Undying, he's 8 and 4, and frankly, pretty much any hero is going to struggle 1v1 against an Undying. He's just so good with that decay spam. Pycat is getting some farm. He is getting a lot of levels. He's actually going for Lunar Blessing first. We'll see. I think he'll go back to max the beams by level 7, but for now, going for the lane control. He's getting levels, but Yao's getting a lot, and that's something... When we've seen the off-lane Undying fail, generally it's because he just doesn't get anything. But that's a nice thing working in LGD's favor, which may help make up for this offensive tri-lane killing off the Twin-Headed Dragon, and to some extent, shutting down Sylar.
Yeah, Luna just doesn't really have the range to kind of do a sufficient harass against the Undying. Undying's just gonna decay spam all day long, and he just needs mana regen. Look at him just going for the soul ring. He doesn't care. He's gonna lose some HP to gain a lot more back, and Pycat starting to run low in terms of regen. Started with 6 Tango, now down to 2.
He's got all that plus damage, but he's just so squishy. He's got 400 health. The Undying's got over double it in the middle lane. There's gonna be so much action. They set up a kill bottom. Now they want one mid. The dual lane is a little bit vulnerable to the offensive tri-lane, something we talked about earlier today, and we are seeing it now. The dual lanes can be shut down because you get a kill in that one lane, then you start roaming and punishing the other, and having more heroes at the point of attack in both cases. Offensive tri-lanes generally beat dual lanes, and we're seeing that right now.
It's just too easy here for LGD International. The wards are not up, or perhaps our awareness is not there. Disruption, Soul Catcher, and then 2 AoE spells from Lina. That's a lot of burst damage, and even a tanky hero like Sven just went down in a blink of eye. And I mean, it is a 1v2 lane, but he's winning this lane because of that gank.
Yeah, and he's already level 4. Now he's Bottle Crow, and he almost gave up a first blood, or came rather close to it. But now with constant Bottle Crow spam, and this is something they're fine to do, because Brax had a good start bottom, he's got a little bit of regen, and frankly Clockwork just needs to sit back and spam rockets, so he doesn't really need that much regen or bottle usage, or Crow usage in the lane. So they can devote this Crow to him. As for Luna, you're just going to see the Tranquil Boots early on, something you can get at the side shop. So because of their hero selection and the lanes, they can get away with this, and that Bottle Crowing is making a difference, as well as, more importantly, the great movement from these supports in the early stages of this game.
Yeah, the support's got to be somewhat careful if they're trying to gank that Undying, though, because Tombstone Decay is not where you want to actually be near, especially if you're slow like Shadow Demon and Lina. You are going to just get chased down by those zombies. It is just a level 1 tomb, and then Yao's walking a little bit ahead. Here we go. We're going to see this, how it will work out. He does not have mana for the tomb, nor does he have the Sobering cooldown. Taking a bunch of damage here, and where's the Decay? No! Perfect mini chain stuns here, just stacking one after another, and Pycat at least helps his team grab a kill. 0-3 in the favor of LGD International.
So they've gotten a kill now in all 3 lanes, and as far as the gold goes, it's starting to become a pretty significant lead for the Dire. As far as experience goes, that's the big one. They were running an offensive tri-lane, so you'd expect to see them being behind, if anything, but they're actually ahead. Now they do force a TP towards the middle lane, but Misery is here. And look at these supports. Boots and Magic Wand up already on the Lina. Boots up on the Shadow Demon. That's going to fuel the aggression. That's going to make it easier to get in range for stuns. And also, harder for them to be killed off. I gotta say, the international squad showing some really smart lanes and getting some early momentum, which, frankly, is something you want to have when you run this mini face rush lineup. This mini, you know, just group up and push kind of style.
Yeah. The question really is how Yao is going to put skill points, as we see Sven gets up a kill, of course, with the help of DDC on the mid lane here. What is both teams' goal? I mean, LG is leading right now. They're not exactly great at pushing, nor exactly great at kind of late game situations. So they're getting kills, which is sweet, but 3 kills early on is not really too much to write home about.
Oh, bottom lane, there has been a Chronosphere just to kill off Brax. The dual lane strike back because the supports wanted to do some pulling. For me, that's a little bit greedy. I would have rather seen them just continue to go for those smoke ganks, continue to keep the pressure up and not stay in one place. But now that they've decided to find some homes of sorts, well, that's where the kills start coming out. The dual lane striking back, because it's not really an offensive tri-lane anymore. It's just turned into some dual lanes for the international squad. So I love this from the Chinese. As soon as they see an opportunity, they strike. They jump back out, not to a lead, but getting some more control back over this game. And the big thing is, even though we're seeing some kills, there's no towers falling. Sylar is free farming. Every game, he's gone for Battle Fury build, but I really feel that, well, he's going to go for it again.
I think if your Faceless Void, you go Battle Fury, simply because Backtrack does give you so much kind of effective HP in a sense. You can't count on it, but it's going to be there here and there. And of course, if you're ever dodging Laguna Blade, you're just dancing inside. I love the fact that he used Chronosphere as soon as he turned level 6, because it's really underrated. Nobody expects a Faceless Void to kill you, but he easily can with just another support with a Chronosphere. And it's a 2-minute cooldown, so he will do it in just a bit. Meanwhile, back in the middle here, DDC gets pinged up. They want to actually go for it. Meanwhile, Xiaoyi comes right back in. One more stun's going to do it, but great silence, defensive disruption here. DDC in bigger trouble. Tombstone's going to drop. Dragon Slave misses here, and the chase goes the other way. He wants to drop that Decay. Decay cooling down just about a couple of seconds. 1437 is a free kill. SA is going to miss. Where's the Decay? Decay. Oh, come on. There's a kill right there. Are they going to chase for more? 1437. Let's drop a Soul Catcher. One more stun is going to be it. Yeah, there you go. Ice Path. Just great diving when you have Undying to lead the charge like that. Good stuff. And everybody survives on LGD China squad.
This goes back to what we saw in game 1. The story of the Luna is that she's just not that dominant in lane. She's not a lone druid where she can just crush a lane by herself. We saw the international squad really crushing that Luna in the laning stage. Just her requiring too much help to have an impact later on when the Chinese played it. Now it's the reverse story. Sure, she got the level. They got some kills with the support's help, but before that happened, it was Yao getting a lot of levels, getting a lot of farm, and now it's come to a point where he can start to be really aggressive because he had that powerful start onto it. G, they go. G will get picked off, and the Ice Path actually catches Lina. Do they go for more? Fortunately for the international squad, they are out of mana, so they will back, but only temporarily. I gotta say, the Chinese showing sort of how I thought this game was going to play out, which is as the game progresses, they just have, if they can find those kills and find the opportunities for aggression, the international squad pretty squishy and not really the best at countering it.
Yeah, and if you look at Luna's item choice, he's going for the late game. A Hannah Midas being picked up, but there's a Cog, or at least a Cog attempt going on the bot lane. Very immediate Chronosphere going on 1437. Look at just, he melts those backtracks. Magic Wand up, and a defensive disruption. Magic Wand do so well in this early game engagement. And Siler just have to run because Night Stalker is coming right in. It is nighttime, but he's so damn slow. Because he's only got 2 points to that, and then Xiaolei's on the run as well. Rocket giving sight, G coming right in. DDC does not have mana for a stun. He's going for the body block. He's sacrificing himself. Good support play. Dragon Slave. Oh! Too short.
Well, that fire was clipping at his heels. He's going to have to put those in a cold ice bath, but he does escape in the end, and that is the definition of some fantastic support play. Well, the Chinese squad, a little bit of a, overextension, frankly. I thought they were all back to Fountain, but they try to contest at that bottom rune. They give up the kill. They also spend a lot of time, well, especially for Sylar, where he wasn't farming. He's got the tower treads. He's got the Ring of Health. You just see the innate DPS of Void if he gets the bashes, which is why I personally like to see the attack speed builds a bit more in this version. But hey, if you're getting bashes and you get some attack speed with treads, you're just chewing through heroes. It's almost burst damage in a sense, and well, as far as this game goes, still pretty even. It's still 1,000 gold lead for the Radiant. Undying has rejoined the fray, has rejoined the team fight. Pyke getting caught. That Midas not going to help you against all these nukes, all this disable, and an easy kill. And if you die a couple of times, the Midas really isn't worth the investment because, well, if you were alive and farming, you'd have made up that gold, and you wouldn't be giving anything away to the enemy team.
Yeah. Fortunately, very fortunately, that he's dying with Hannah Midas on cooldown, so it's not wasting kind of any big duration. But in a sense, that Midas is an opportunity cost for that. You're not getting any survivability-based item like a Black King Bar or a Drums. In any case, push coming on the bottom here. Tombstone gonna get dropped, and really nothing much you could do. They even gonna use a glyph, so it seems like Clockwork wants to hook in and really start the party, but maybe this is the time to do so as the creep wave is dead. Tombstone now going to get focused. They are going to defend this. I'm very, very surprised. There is a Chronosphere up, though, for LGD China, but they don't want to take that fight.
Well, they do have a great counter initiation team. If you get caught without a creep wave and Lina can kill that off quickly, so can the Clock, then you're looking at face tanking an entire Eclipse. Obviously, there's a lot of burst damage from Lina, from the Shadow Demon Soul Catcher, so I think it's a wise choice to back off, and a victory for them because they forced TPs. Now they can just strut back to their jungle and farm. Whereas for the international squad, they're TPing to the suicide lane. Now the Chronosphere comes out mid. G getting caught a bit out of position. Nice dodge away. In comes Brax, but the hook not quite where he wants it to be. That Cogs can be amazing. Is he gonna find it though? He does. He catches out Sylar. Sylar will fall, will pay for his aggression, but it looks to be a 2-for-1. It will be, and does the aggression stop here? Do they go onto Misery? No, they go onto 1437. He gets sliced and diced and brought down. And when this squad wins a fight, they've got Warcry, they've got God Strength. They are looking at some towers. No Edict, but it doesn't seem they need it.
Yeah, one of the more forgotten ability of the Undying is the fact that Flesh Golem really amplify any type of damage enemies taking. That Storm Hammer just chip a huge amount of HP away from the 1437. Luna's coming, trying to do some crazy backstab with this Eclipse, but everybody's staying together, so really missing an opportunity right there. But what do you feel about this Midas choice? If you're going to go for some type of early game push, that's not the item you want. So it seems like LGD International wants to take this late game against the Faceless Void. I mean, is that the correct decision, do you think?
Even if your Luna's really big, if she gets chronoed, she's not, those glaives aren't bouncing, she's not doing anything. And it's, obviously she's going to have to get a BKB because there's a Stormbolt, there's a Split Earth, and there's an Ice Path. But even if she gets it, there's always Chrono and Bash to worry about. For me, the strength of this international lineup was the mid-game timey push with the glaives, with, maybe Clockwork and Night Stalker having a little more momentum. But to go for a Midas, I think that's playing right, not only into the hands of the LGD China draft, but also their style as a team, which is they would love for this to go late, not just because of the heroes, but because that's how they've won games for a long time. That's that's how they win.
Sylar, one of the more, underrated carries in the Chinese team, but definitely could get his farm up, and he's one of those carries that love to join fights. We see him joining that fight in the mid lane, jumping right in here with Time Walk. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out. He does have that teleport scroll ready and Chronosphere up to join a top team fight. Again, it's very, very... There's a Chronosphere to shut down the Luna, but On the similar token, you still have the defensive disruption. There's fear causing this chance. But Teamfight is going to break out on the top lane. Tombstone gets dropped and not dying, leading the charge. Where's the Bard? Kronos for grabs too. And Pycat, like you said, that Midas does not help out. 1437 in big trouble as well. He's losing HP so rapidly. That's 2 free kills. Meanwhile though, Xiao looking for a little bit more. They need that Storm Hammer cooling down. He does have that right now. That's yet another kill. 4 for nothing. Tier 1's going to get siege down as well on top. And forget late game. Right now, LGD China's winning the early game.
And this is what I love about the dual core with the Sven and the Faceless Void. I mean, I don't think they expected to get as much out of that offlane Undying as they did, but they were okay with it because they knew Sven was going to have a good time mid. They expected that Night Stalker mid. It was, frankly, it's predictable. When have we ever seen Night Stalker not mid? Occasionally he's on the safe lane, but Xiao 8 is doing so much damage. It's not the Sylar doesn't need to do a whole lot. Just the Chrono is adding huge value to his team right now. But that really came down to the initiation, and one of the beauties of Sven as a hero, whether he's a support or a carry, is you can smoke gank, but then you have Warcry, so you just get on top of your opponents immediately. It's almost impossible to react in time. A little bit greedy positioning in general from Pycat. I think if you go in for the Midas, you really got to play it a lot safer than he has, but hey, it's also just the strength of the Chinese lineup and them exploiting it to maximum effectiveness.
Yeah, I also want to point out that LGD China has some insane crowd control. The Ice Path hit, one side of the map, the other side was covered up by a Tombstone. Really, you had nowhere to go but back, and back was clumped up by a Chronosphere. So really, LGD showing a massive array of crowd control spells. Pycat, again, looking for a backstab, does have the Midas ready, not using it right now, so that's a little bit more time being wasted. Is he trying to go for like a big creep here to, just, I guess, forgot for a moment. But not the biggest deal here.
I want to point out, on somewhat of a different note, a hero that, I mean, like I mentioned, yeah, I was sort of an added bonus. Boy, is he a big added bonus. He's almost got a mech complete. He is 1-1 in 10. They have 13 kills. He's been in 11 of them, and he's done it as a suicide lane Undying who had an easy start to the lane, but then had to deal with constant harassment from supports, had to deal with a 3-man gank onto Brax. They go middle lane. Here comes Xiao with the haste rune. Good luck cogging out of this one. He's going to try to hook away. What a hook! But too bad that Sven is hasted. That's not going to save him. Demonic Purge was not available because somehow he's still not level 6. Xiao 8 runs away. He doesn't need to run away. He can go right back in. He realizes it. He wants another kill. He's going to find it. Misery. One chop and 1 kill. Claimed by Xiao 8. 15-5, and this game is crumbling before our eyes. The international squad jumped out to a quick 2-0 lead on the back of that winner's bracket advantage and game number 2 of this series that was officially played, but it's looking like we might be headed to a game 5. So much momentum right now on the Chinese side.
I'm just gonna say mathematically, it is impossible to beat LGD International when they have Luna. Gonna stick to that one.
Well, the numbers don't lie. They are 7-0 with her in official matches, but this is not looking good.
They're down by 10 kills. They're down by 7,500 EXP. They're down by 7,500 gold. And that Luna has a Midas. And he's about to die, I think.
Oh, he is about to die unless Xiao 8's slow on the reactions. Where's that Stormbolt?
What?
Oh. Now, there is, of course, as we talked about, there is that delay factor for both teams. So if you see some weird plays, like you hear walking into the enemy team, the Chinese, apparently, the internet's fine, but they have, the Steam servers are a bit overloaded, so the connection there gets really laggy. It's, I guess, the peak hours.
They just didn't get Noodle before this match. I'm saying.
It affects both teams, but things like that Stormbolt not going off. On land, that probably does hit.
That was literally a free kill. Sven might have died to the Eclipse, but you get a Luna as well. In any case, right now, Radiant on full control. I'm just so impressed with Yao. A lot of times, as Undying, you just kind of taper off in your effectiveness. He is still staying very relevant.
Here comes Brax. He's going to hook and cog Xiao 8, but do you really want to hook and cog that hero? I think the answer is hell no, or maybe hell yes, because Disruption is here. Now the Eclipse, what a turn of events. Brax sets up a beautiful double kill, and he lives with, now he has some healthy HP, but he was down to less than 100, maybe even as low as 50 or so. What a play from Brax. Gets really eager, almost pays for it. He's really, tightrope walking this one, but it works out.
Shadow Demon just doing a lot of work. It's defensive, offensive disruption is just way too much. Meanwhile, though, Silo on the bot lane with that Battle Fury finish working on the tier 1 tower. If you don't send a couple guys in his lane, he will just take it for free. Unfortunately, Siege Creep greater than Sylar as he gets out-asseted.
Yeah, speaking of Sylar, he's 4-1-1. Sure, he doesn't have a Midas, but he's also not dying. The Luna 1-2-2 is level 12, but Sylar matching that, and Sylar, keeping the pace for the moment. If we actually look at net worth, he's leading by 1,300 gold. I guess that comes down to towers, and they go on to G, and they just don't care about throwing a Chrono out for a single kill. Why not? Because when you find that kill, the opponents aren't fighting you anyway until at least half of that duration has been used up. So I love the fearless use of the Chrono. There's no hesitation. They're just dropping it anytime they can find a kill. It started in the laning stage, and it continues now.
Yeah, again, it doesn't seem like this team has on paper a Sven and a farm up. They are actually playing as the aggressor, and this is kind of a good recent change of trends. The Chinese team being a lot more aggressive and just taking advantage of the fact that they just have stronger heroes. Here we go, they're going to bring down a tier 2 with relative ease, and they are going to just back off. I do believe this is a slight opening for LGD International to go into the Roshan pit. Because Chronos is down, but they just don't have the damage to really take advantage of it.
And they don't have the map position, and, along those lines, it's not just that they get the towers. LGD has always been fantastic at this. These supports, DDC and DD, they have that mind meld going on. They always are on the exact same page. And look at the wards. They have that Roshan pit well warded off. If they see anyone missing for too long, you better believe they're going to be checking it. Also, even when they're not checking it or thinking about it, they're putting so much pressure on the international squad. If they're not defending those towers, they're losing them. So Roshan possibly in the cards, as we do see 5 heroes rotate top. With 5 top, you got to think about it. It's got to be on their minds.
Yeah, it has to be, because they just have Luna destroying that tower and having a Black King bar finish. So we're doubting this Midas, and it's starting to really allowing the Luna to kind of farm out of control, I want to say. I mean, once BKB's done, Manta short after, and then Butterfly. I mean, we could get on a very dangerous slope here for LG in China.
We'll see. They haven't gone for it yet. Look at the build for Misery. Triple Bracer. This is what you have to do when you play against all this burst damage, especially against a hero like Sven. I mean, with one great cleave, with one God Strength auto attack, he's just ripping through you. This is what you do. Just buy as many bracers as you possibly can and pray to God that your Shadow Demon is perfect. And they go Chrono on 2. There will be no disruption this time, says Sylar. He wants more, though. He's not done yet. The Ice Path won't connect, and actually that might end this aggression, but it won't end the push that comes after that kill. Chrono has been used. Now a time walk forward. 1437 needs to disrupt, but he's not going to be able to. Or is he? The cogs from Brax. Push back Yao. That's a big zombie, but it's also a zombie that can't get next to his victims to start biting and sucking their blood. Or I guess that's a vampire, but you get the idea. They're pushing mid, Lumi.
I always say that this zombie is big and cuddly. Nobody wants to give him hugs. Look at him.
He's got like a friendly smile on his face.
Yeah.
He's still ugly as hell, man.
Man, that's racist. All right, here we go. They're going to go right on Sven, this offensive disruption. Luna focusing on the tomb. No damage, so BKB gets popped right here, and Brax jumps straight in. There's a purge on him as well. Moving slow as heck. Brax goes down. BKB gets popped on Luna as well, but no damage output at all. He can't even kill DDC. Sylar now turns around, face him. Tombstone is down. Everybody's ultimate's down. I do believe it's time here for LG China to back off here. DDC gotta be somewhat careful. Nice ice patch just cutting off. Oh, G is in big trouble now. Again, defensive disruption doing a lot. Do we have more? Misery just drops off a huge ult, and G's on the run. Jumps right back in. One hit bash, and there's Eclipse chasing him, but the creep wave helping to tank a little bit. But Yao in the front line, so tanked with the Vanguard. Another Storm Hammer. Luna's dead. Buybacks, do they have it? No, they do not, but here we go. G comes right in after a buyback. He wants to fight this nice silencer, gets one here, now chasing for everybody. Nobody has mana. Sylar jumps back out, Chronosphere in about 16 seconds. Yao, no mana either. He does have that Vanguard, so still extremely tanky. Stormhammer onto 2, and Sylar, he's sticking around. Chrono and A, and these guys are just waiting on the high ground. I think they could actually turn this around for a couple more kills.
Oh, Brax might be overstaying his welcome. He's going to walk up the hill into Shao 8. He does have the cogs, but again, you don't really want to be in those cogs. Chrono on 2, like you talked about. Look at G just melting away. Brax hooks in, the gem on the floor again. It's just being passed around like a hot potato in this fight. Now Yao giving chase. Brax likely to fall here as well. The decay spam just butchering him, and now up to 3.4k gold. Will it be? It will be a BKB. I was thinking maybe a burning Aghanims. Wouldn't have minded to see that, but hey, he goes for the BKB. Certainly a fine choice, and a back and forth fight, but just overall a massive victory for the Chinese squad. Choosing that engagement at the perfect moment, having the advantage. And the Eclipse looked good, but the creep wave coming in at just the worst possible moment really cost them that fight. And for the moment, Pycat, despite that death, he's in the jungle, has the Midas back up. He has the BKB, But he needs a lot more, and this is what Lumi and I were talking about earlier, is it's not enough to get the BKB because you're up against a Void. You got to get, I mean, so many more items so that you can live through the Chrono, because otherwise you get Chronoed, you die. It's not just the Void who does damage, it's the lockdown and then the follow-up nuke damage from the supports. You might have that BKB up, but even if Sven is able to auto-attack you, he's able to cleave you with that 70% cleave, which he has max first. He's gone for the cleave max. Only a single point Warcry, more about chasing, not about the armor. It's looking really, I gotta say, quite bleak for the international squad. They feel that way too. They're just not leaving their tier 2.
Yep. Well, it seems like they're not defending it either here. Brack's been playing so well so far in this particular game, has a mech finish, but if you look at this level 9, it's just really rough.
Man, yeah, it was an offensive tri-lane clock. They got the 1 kill. They left to go mid, then they ganked top. Then they went back to kind of just, you know, do some pulling, do some farming, and that's where LGD started to sink their the Chinese started to sink their teeth into this game. Here comes the Warcry backstab.
The biggest backstab ever here as Forge goes one way here, Void goes the other. They want the Night Stalker. Night Stalker just jumps the other way. There's a 4-4 on the Sven, not enough. Now they want to chase south. Everybody, again, this is whack-a-mole, but they're going the other direction. Luna is just on a adventure. This guy's Magellan Navigator. He does find his way out. He's safe.
Magellan circumnavigating the globe, or in this case, the Dota map. In spite of that, the tower gets denied mid. They were just scattering like cockroaches, man. That was the Exterminator coming. The Exterminator, of course, being Xiao 8, leading this squad towards what hopefully for him will be another kill. G looking to farm top lane and even taking a moment of farm. This is... we thought the international squad liked their 5-man Dota. We might be seeing even more 5-man Dota, and they're doing it with a Sven and a Void. Not bad 5-man heroes later on, but to see it from the 11, 12 minute mark, that is definitely a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering how is a Chronosphere and Sven's gonna work together. I thought it won't, but hey, you know, Silas using these Chronosphere just on 2, like a 4-second disable, and hey, it's fine, especially when you get those kills here and there. He's been taking a lot of attention to actually make sure he gets a Shadow Demon within these Chronos, because again, disruption is just very annoying to deal with.
Now they don't have a Luna, they don't have that one crazy tower pusher, except for Xiao 8, who we saw last time when he got near to the tower, even with the BKB, he started to take a lot of damage. So they're going to slow roll this, they're going to play it safe. As they look towards the push, I gotta check out where are the pushing items. They've got a great pushing lineup at this point in the game, but where are the items? Well, Undying is pretty much a walking fountain and invincibility station. He's got the Hood of Defiance, Pipe coming soon, Vanguard and Mech, so you're not focusing him, but you're also not ignoring him. Maybe they'll try to anyway, though. They initiate on DD, the 4-staff is already there, immediately runs away. Maybe could have baited that one a bit more. Remember, they do have the Void to counter-initiate, but he's just farming mid. Look at the way they retreat. It's always together. Hoka comes in on DD. They're going to catch out 2 inside the cog, and the Luna clips. Oh, boy, they really needed a little bit more time to set that fight up with 2 heroes dead. Will it be enough? Chrono onto Sylar BKBs immediately. G doing what he can. This is the best fight you could ever hope for if you're the international squad. Pycat still being focused down. The 2 brawlers bringing him down. Sylar no BKB, but he gets more bashes. He gets a triple, or at least 3 kills, rather, for his team over the course of that fight. Mega kill for him now. And that was the perfect fight, and they only come out 1 kill ahead, and crucially, they lose that Midas Luna, and guess what? The Midas is off cooldown, ready to be used, but not able to use it.
You're absolutely right about how perfect that team fight went. Leshrac died immediately. The Undying died without dropping a Tombstone, without dropping Decay, nor actually even using that mech. You can't even script a better team fight than that. At the end, Sylar survived, Sven survived, and it was a 3-for-2 trade numerically. Yeah, the Dire won, but it just shows you how far ahead the Radiant is ahead. 2,700 gold here up on Face's Void. Oh, and of course, Shadow Demon even got a disruption to help Brack survive even longer. It just didn't matter. And if Sylar picks up like a Manta for just simply the movement speed or for damage output, I'm just not sure what a Luna could do. Luna does have that 2,500 gold though. Is it Butterfly time to go all in, or what's the deal here? He's got 1,200 HP. No, he's gonna go for Yasha just for the move speed as well.
I think you got to go for something that's not so reliant on sort of that passive bonus, because there's always Chrono to worry about, and eventually Void will build an MKB if you go Butterfly. Whereas the Manta, even if you get caught in Chrono, it will help you to survive. It's a nice ability to have in this game. even if he gets, I mean, if the Chrono goes south, if somehow Sylar traps his team, it could be huge for LGD because they've got the Lina who does a lot of AoE nuke damage. Of course, the Eclipse could be big, but most importantly, those glaives bouncing through enemy heroes trapped inside it. But that's, I mean, that's really expecting a lot because Sylar has been spot on with his Chrono. Speaking of eagle hordes or butterflies, it's actually Sylar who's going for one. And unlike the Chinese, the international squad really doesn't have an answer for this. They don't have a natural Hex carrier who's going to get one anytime soon. They don't have anything that goes through evasion. This is going to be, I feel, impossible to kill Void, and especially since the Aegis either coming on him or the Sven in a few moments' time.
I think you give it to Sven in this case here. Or actually both is fine. No, it seems like Sylar is making room for any kind of big jump in from Brax. Nope, not this particular junction. And tier 2 is not going to get destroyed either, as we do see Faceless Void jumping back up. Now with the Faceless Void having the Aegis Immortal and Butterfly momentarily, how do you kill this guy? The evasion does stack for anybody that's wondering. And he's dealing insane amount of damage. And he has 2 lives to work with.
Yeah, you get 35 physical evasion from the Butterfly. You get another 25 backtrack evasion on any sort of damage. That's a lot of friggin' evasion. That is over 50% as they do stack. That's going to make it very difficult to kill him. And while you're focusing Void, if you're focusing him, Sven's going to work. It's just the benefit of having... And again, LGD International, they're showing a little bit more of a preference. Sure, they like to 5-man, but it's not really with true teamfight heroes. Like, it's, you know, Night Stalker, it's Luna, who can be a teamfight hero. But, you know, it's not with a Mag, it's not with a Tidehunter, it's not with a big AoE ult, and that plays... It makes LGD China's drafts over these past 2 games more effective because they're going from lineups that have multiple sources of DPS, lineups where you really want a big AoE ult like a Reverse Polarity, or a Chronosphere for that matter, on your side.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some great initiation, whether it's from Disruption or from, of course, a hookshot from the Clockwork, but again, it's just not exactly reliable and not exactly great against the other 5-man lineup, which is what LD has been trying to talk about. Here we go, Xiao A and Vizrune, and he's going to walk past Accentuar, although I'm not sure if that's actually in range, and can he actually kill G by himself like this?
He might be able to. As naturally tanky as Night Stalker is, this is it's a Mask of Madness fed with a BKB. But they're baiting this, they kind of expect it. The question is, can they get here in time? Oh, well, he didn't even have to use the BKB, but he will back off. Still, they force a couple TPs. With the Mask of Madness and the ult on cooldown, though, I think LGD are going to have to take this a little bit slower. They disagree. They're going straight high ground. They do have the Aegis. They've got a massive Undying who now has a pipe, so that Eclipse much less likely to be effective. And here we go, Lumi. They're wailing away on this tier 3.
Yep, and of course Chrono's up. Chrono Void does not care. He has the Aegis. In fact, he could just tank it up. Tombstone's gonna get dropped. There's a teleportation behind hookshot going right in, but G gets focused right now. Where's that Chrono? Sylar pops his BKB. He will not have it after Aegis. There's a disruption, making sure he survives. Chrono onto the 2 support, 1437, getting all the hatred and disdain from Sylar. He says, eat that. And here we go. Now there's an Eclipse coming right in. Sylar still alive. Finally dies. Will respond with Aegis, but no structural damage really has been done. Yao down to about half HP, but here we go. Sylar's back. He's taking a lot of damage. Jumps out here. Focus on G, and that racks. That was the last line of defense. And you believe we're going to go into a game number 5 after this.
How fitting that we're headed into a game 5. The international squad made it look easy on their way to this grand finals, but the Chinese are not simply a bump in a road. They are a big-ass roadblock. There is a lot of stuff you got to go through. There are nails on this road. You got to dodge them, otherwise those tires deflate, and you just can't keep the momentum rolling. The international squad lose 2 in a row after jumping out to a quick 2-0 lead with that 1-game winner's bracket advantage. But Lumi, it's a best out of 5, and now these teams have both seen quite a bit of each other, quite a bit of each other's drafts. This is where things get interesting. Although it's not over yet, they do get 2 lanes of racks, so it's feeling like it pretty much is. Yikes. The Chinese just making it feels like they figured out the international squad to a certain extent.
I felt like most of these games has really been coming down the drafts and as well as laning here, and as well Sven, well, a little bit trouble in the mid lane here, but I pops the BKB and perhaps going to TP out. You're not going to TP away from the cog. There you go. Nice uses of the cog here, showing what that hero is truly capable of. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's really coming down draft. I think both teams is just playing on the top of their level, on top of the game, very aggressive here and there. Both teams, of course, prone to over-aggression as they're chasing, but the draft is really what makes and breaks it.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm glad you mentioned not just the draft, but also the lanes. Like, just the laning decisions. are really deciding these games. Sylar jumps in, Chronos too, Pycat just going to be such an easy kill with that butterfly complete. Maybe not because of the disruption, but doesn't matter. Oh, maybe it does now. Ghost Scepter from lead, and nobody is an easy kill, but Sylar is still a very manly void. Misery will fall, but he takes down DDC very low before doing so. Eclipse going down in 22 seconds. Pycat surprisingly not using that Mancy yet. Now he unloads it. Here comes Sven. They're gaining some steam. They're gaining some traction. The Cogs cutting off the Clockwork's retreat, keeping him safe, but not helping Pycat. Pycat will fall. There's the GG's. Lumi, it's time for a game 5.
How fitting. How fitting. The one game advantage from the winner bracket will carry LGD.int to the final, but LGD China looking very, very good. I mean, they were down and facing elimination now 2 times in a row, but now putting LGD International in the same spot.
How do you feel going into this game 5? The Chinese have the momentum. The international squad obviously more well rested, and they had, when they won that game 1, or well, technically game 2, but the first game actually played, it looked easy for them. So who's your money on as we head into this game 3?
I will tell you after the draft is over, because it is so hard. I mean, sure, the first game was very easy for the international squad, but that's when LGD China went for a Clockwork against a Shadow Demon, which not exactly here you wanna use. So it really comes down to draft.
Yeah, I can't argue with you. I mean, there's been great plays for both teams. Don't get us wrong, but you know, it's the team that has the better draft. That both teams are playing well. So if you have the better draft, and the better lanes, you're almost certainly going to win the game. And that's what we've seen. Even the teams with arguably the worst draft, the inferior lanes, they're still putting on a hell of a show. We saw, I think, 1437 Shadow Demon, really the star of the show for the international squad. The Clockwork was pretty strong as well. I would point to that early Midas by Pycat as well as the supports just stopping their roaming. Those were the 2 things I think maybe they should not have done. But ultimately, for me, it was just a better draft from the Chinese squad and better lanes above all else.
Yeah, for sure. It was well played, and we're going to go straight into game number 5. 35-15 is the final score for this one. LGD China take it convincingly with some 5-man Dota. So we're going to head into game number 5.
Oh man, game number 5, ladies and gentlemen. This is the GEST Dota 2 Challenge. We'll take a quick look at the brackets as we get ready to send us off to that game 5. Of course, I'm LD, he's Luminous. There are $1,500 at stake, and the winner takes it all home. I hear some people crying collusion, saying that one of the teams has been paid off to throw. There's some sort of backhanded dealings. Come on, guys. These guys are competitors. That's all nonsense. They want to win, and they want to win badly. So who's going to be the champ? Who's going to take home the full prize money and, well, probably rub it in their teammates' faces or their compatriots' faces? We'll find out soon. But of course, I'm LD, he's Luminous. Follow him. Facebook, Twitter, youtube.com/LuminousInverse. VODs from this series will be available on YouTube. We'll make sure those links are posted all over the place. Team Liquid, Reddit, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you enjoy the cast, if you want to see more from Beyond the Summit, be sure to subscribe to us. Damn it, if you don't subscribe, I'm going to turn off the stream and you won't see Game 5. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Game 5 coming up soon.